I just invested in strategy where I get paid 42% to buy the stock cheaper. As you invest for your financial freedom, a 1-year 42% return is too hard to pass by. In this video, I'm going to give you the exact strategy, why it works, and show you how you can do it yourself, either for MSTR or another stock. You're going to want to listen to the end so that you can learn how to identify these opportunities and replicate them in the future. You'll want to subscribe to follow how the strategy performs and get real-world feedback on the investment philosophy I use and share. I'm Emlyn, and I'm fortunate enough to have retired at 40. Multiple 5 to 30x stock picks changed my life. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, and this isn't financial advice, it's guidance. 1. The strategy. What do you do when you're faced with a collapsing stock of a company you may believe in and want to invest in? Conventional wisdom will say, don't try to time the market, buy and dollar cost average in. So if it falls, you just buy more. But if you've ever done this, you've also experienced the pain of seeing something you just bought drop another 20 or 30%. Well, there is another way, a way in which you're guaranteed a return or a much lower price to buy, depending on your perspective. I've been following Bitcoin and strategy for a long time. When strategy traded as high as 543 2 years ago, I thought I missed it. However, patience rewarded me with around a 70% collapse from its highs. Being worried that the stock could yet fall further, instead of buying it, I sold a put option on it. And here's the math of why it worked so well. In December, when the stock got to 179, I sold a put option with a strike price of $180, expiring in December 26 for $53.45. Now, by selling a put option, I have to buy MSTR shares at 180 in December if the share price is below 180. Options can get complicated, but for what we're doing here, this is all you need to know. If you sell a put option and the stock price falls below the strike price by the time the option expires, then you have to buy the shares at that price. Please let me know if I did not explain that well. When you do the math, 180 minus 53.45 equals $126.55. So I only lose money if the stock drops below 126.55. So by the time we get to December this year, if the stock is below 180, I get to own MSTR shares at an effective rate of $126.55. This includes the premium I received. And it's about a 30% discount to where the stock was at the time. If MSTR is above 180, I keep the $53.45, which is 53.45 divided by 126.55 equals a 42.24% return on the money I put at risk. To explain that in more detail, I've put $126.55 at risk by doing this. This is the money I would lose if the price of MSTR goes to zero by December. If MSTR is instead above 180 by December, then I get to keep the 53.45, which is a 42.24% return on the money I've put at risk. Think about that. MSTR pays about 10% on the equivalent treasury instrument. I am earning 42% just for waiting. I actually sold a few more put options when the stock price of strategy fell to 164. But the math and logic stays the same. It's just that my effective rate at which I buy MSTR shares dropped to about $123 from $126.55 because the stock price had dropped a little. To me, this is a great win-win trade or investment to make. I'm happy to hold MSTR shares for a number of years because I believe in the value Bitcoin has to offer the world and the services strategy can provide customers on the back of it. But more on this later. In market talk, this strategy is called a cash-secured put. 2. When a cash-secured put makes sense. MSTR has fallen around 70% from its all-time highs. A lot of this is because Bitcoin fell around 30% from its highs in October. And there has been a lot of talk that Bitcoin is following its typical 4-year cycle. That means Bitcoin could head even lower in the next 6 months or so before turning up by the end of the year. Because of the close association to Bitcoin, the worry is that strategy could well follow Bitcoin sideways or lower over the next 6 months and also only turn higher by the end of the year. That the stock price of strategy is expected to go sideways or lower in the next few months makes it a perfect candidate to sell a cash-secured put. Because instead of waiting or buying and averaging in over the next 6 months, you can sell the cash-secured put and you get paid to wait out the period. You get paid while the stock goes sideways. Also, from my experience, when a stock has fallen so far from its highs, it typically goes through a long period of moving sideways because it takes time for people to get excited about the company again. And what supercharges the fee you earn is that MSTR is a very volatile stock. Another perspective is to say, if you're worried that a stock you want to buy could go lower, but someone then comes along and said, okay, I'll give you a 30% discount or a 42% return, would you then take the deal? This is what makes the strategy so great. And if you learn how to use it effectively, it can be an amazing instrument in creating life-changing wealth for you, because you can use it on other stocks too. 3. But is MSTR even a good investment? Because the strategy is closely linked to Bitcoin, there's really only 2 questions you have to answer for yourself. Question 1. Is Bitcoin viable? Meaning, does Bitcoin offer the world undeniable value where it's now earned itself a permanent place in the financial system? Whether it's individuals needing a store of value, protection from money printing inflation, or countries buying gold, we're in a race for alternatives to the US dollar. I've discussed these themes extensively in my videos Maduro Captured and The Death of Money. Please watch them here, and I'll also leave the links at the end. Question 2. Do you trust the company's strategy? Meaning, do you trust that there isn't some fraud or embezzlement happening in the background? I've watched hours of videos of Michael Saylor, and I follow him on Twitter. To me, he sincerely and honestly believes in the mission strategy is trying to accomplish. So for me, the answer to both these questions is yes. Also, there's a gap in the market for a company that provides treasury services like giving individuals or companies a reliable return without the volatility of something like Bitcoin. The products are a great and direct competitor to things like buying bonds or high-interest savings accounts, as it's backed by something that is protected from inflation and money printing. At this point, strategy is best placed to provide these services, and hence I would say they're not just a holding company for Bitcoin, they're creating additional value for the customers. Objection 1. If strategy is going to provide large-scale treasury services, shouldn't they be regulated as a bank or similar financial institution to protect clients? Yes, this is a valid point to raise, but I would say that the transparency in which MSTR provides the results and is audited gives me sufficient comfort that there isn't any large-scale bad behavior happening in the background. Objection 2. But MSTR is just a proxy for Bitcoin. Why not just buy the Bitcoin yourself? I do own Bitcoin as well. Because yes, it does remove one layer of risk in that you don't need to trust the company's strategy. But I'm not buying MSTR here, at least not at first. I've implemented a strategy that earns me 42% just for waiting things out or gets me MSTR shares at a 30% discount. Bitcoin can't offer these sorts of rewards at the moment. In the end, this is a great way to get paid just for being engaged in the market. You're still getting paid a great return even when the market goes sideways, just because you were prepared to put your money at risk. To make the ideas I show you easier for you to learn and implement yourself, I'm going to be tracking this trade along with the other stocks and investments I've made in future videos. So subscribe to follow along. If you like this video, please hit the like and subscribe button. Again, here are the 2 videos that speaks more to the themes I discussed here. In this uncertain world we live in, may you find the financial freedom to live the life you want to live. Good luck.